Hey Ellis FamLifers, and welcome back to the channel. This is a new series and my very first collaboration. It is an interview with another autism mom. And if you'd like to see more, then stay tuned. Hey friends, thanks for joining us. If you're new here, this is Ellis FamLife, #AutisticTwins, where we like to do three things. We want to raise, relate, and educate. Raise awareness and acceptance for nonverbal autism, relate to you and the autistic person in your life, and educate by sharing examples and stories of our life with nonverbal autistic twins, Alex and Will. So today's video is really special, and I'm really excited about today's interview because it's my very first collaboration, and I sat down on Easter Sunday with a dear friend and talked about her autism story. So she gets to share her story, and you get to see what it's like, especially in this story for someone who has been dealing with this for almost 20 years, and the paths that have been forged for people like us who are just starting on our autism journey. This is part 2 of our collaborative interview. I hope y'all enjoy. This is when he was about, would you say maybe around 2 or 3?
He was probably 3 or 4. Okay, so going back to when he was 2, we switched pediatricians because that pediatrician just didn't like to listen. Like,
it's hard to find a medical professional that will listen and dialogue with you.
Which is why we are still with the same pediatrician that we moved to after her when we switched pediatricians' offices. We're still with them because
when you find a good one, you just hold on to them. Ours is the same way. She's so good.
Look, the only way we're leaving this pediatrician's office is when he ages out.
When they age him out, which he's getting close.
But we've already got a GP who knows, that has been our family doctor, mine and my husband's doctor, for close to 20 years.
Yeah, so it's also a blessing.
He knows Ellis, and Ellis has gone with me to some of my doctor's appointments, and so he knows Dr. Morris, and he's comfortable. We've already started talking. Because when he turns 21, he's too old for the pediatrician's office. Yeah. And so we've already begun the process of, okay, now you're not going to be at Dr. Butler's office forever. You're going to have to switch to a grown-up doctor and, blah, blah, blah.
Because hey, cutie.
He doesn't do change very well.
No.
We have to prepare when possible.
That one right there, he don't do change very well either. But he likes to see himself in the camera. Hey, can you go hang out with somebody else for me just a little bit? Quit growling at my phone. Yeah, that's not yours. Okay, so changed pediatricians.
The new
settled
pediatrician.
Into a new pediatrician.
Basically, this wasn't really done at the time.
But because we're still at the very beginning of awareness.
I interviewed him. Basically,
good for you.
He came very highly recommended.
That is a great idea. That's a great idea.
Well, he came very highly recommended. It's who Bert and Anita, our pastor and his wife. They had 7 boys, and so they needed a really good pediatrician.
Felt like
all the time.
Yeah.
And so that's who they used for years and years and years. But I did. We went in. It was like, we're not here for a well checkup. We're not here for a visit. We just want to see the dynamic and get to know you and see if we're going to be a good fit. And Dr. Butler, oh my word, he's one of my favorite people. He did not, sometimes when you've got somebody in authority and they're interacting with this very small child between 2 and 3, then they kind of talk down to them. Yeah. Like, oh, look at you, aren't you cute? And, talk above them, So what does he like to do? Or, no. Ellis was sitting on the exam table, and then Dr. Butler was talking directly to him, knowing already that Ellis was not really going to respond verbally. I would answer for Ellis, but he continued to talk to Ellis, like he and Ellis were having a conversation. Yeah. And I was like, okay, so he's not discrediting he's not discounting the fact that my child is a person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We decided to start using them, and the first thing they did, first of all, Dr. Butler told me, okay, look, it's not rare for a kid to hit their 3rd birthday and just be beginning to talk.
Right.
It's not common, but it's not unheard of.
Yeah.
But I would like to test his hearing, make sure that that's not an issue.
Always legit.
And I said, they did that in the office.
Right.
And I said, okay, I don't have a problem with that. I don't think it's his hearing because he can be in another room, and if I call his name, he will come to me. If his back is to me and I call his name, he will turn around.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not that he can't hear, it's that he can't respond. And we had taught him some sign language so that he could communicate.
Yeah, because you kind of got me on the sign language
that was
path with Frankie.
Super helpful. So we learned some sign language and taught Ellis, and that really helped. And the more, it's crazy how the brain works. The more sign language he learns, the more, and Dr. Butler told us that this would happen. He said using the sign language actually develops the speech portion in the brain. So he started talking very little after he turned 3. And that was cause for hope.
Yeah.
And that was only to a very select group of people.
Yeah, he didn't
he didn't talk to just anybody. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You had to be a trusted person.
Yeah.
For him to respond to you verbally. Like, we would go into church on Sunday mornings. He was probably 3 or 4. You know, we had the greeters at the door as you go in, and they would say, "Hey, Ellis, how are you?" And he would, And one Sunday morning, I was like,
Crazy child.
"Excuse us just a minute," and he would do the, And I was like, "Okay, look, that's kind of cute when you're 1 or 2. You're too old now. You don't have to touch them. You don't have to let them hug you, and you don't have to talk to them. But I would like for you to not snarl at them or grunt. Grunting and snarling is not okay when I know that you can do more.
Yeah.
So just smile. You don't even have to mean it. Just smile.
Right.
So that they know you heard them.
Yeah.
And that can be your way of saying hi without actually speaking to them if you don't want to.
Yeah.
And
did he understand you when you told him all of that?
I don't know.
Did you get a little bit of response from him? Do you feel like he understood
Yeah.
to the point where he obeyed?
Yeah, he wasn't.
He started doing a real cheesy smile.
But you articulated something that you wanted for him to do, but
Right.
you were very clear about it.
Right.
And you gave him measurable things to accomplish.
Right.
And he did it.
Yeah, I don't know how much of what I said he understood. I know that he understood enough to understand that, or to get that, okay, what I'm doing right now, Mom's not okay with.
Yeah.
And she's giving me alternatives that are not going to make me uncomfortable.
Yes.
So I felt like it was a good compromise.
Yeah.
Because I've never, I was raised in the South, and I know that we teach our children to be super polite and super nice, and go give Aunt Mamie a hug. Well, you know what? That's not always a good idea.
Right.
That's just not always a good thing to teach our children to just hug people that they don't feel comfortable hugging.
Right.
Or
having to talk to people that may not be comfortable talking to.
Right.
Or
so I've never pushed either of my children to do that. Like, you must be polite.
yeah.
Like, you must acknowledge, if only with a smile, you must acknowledge that you heard them. Like, I've taught my children to be polite, but not to their detriment.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm a modified Southerner. My mother was like that too.
Yeah, she was.
Just
practical.
And just always mindful that not everyone is who they appear to be. And you don't want to train your children to be nice to people who make them super uncomfortable, because sometimes children pick up on things that adults don't pick up on.
Yeah.
And you really need to trust your kids' instincts where these things are concerned.
Yeah.
And you can avoid a lot of things.
You sure can. Yes. So this was when he started talking a little bit at about age 3, maybe a little later. The sign language seemed to help him with the actual verbal speaking. Mm-hmm. So tell me about what time. So some of these things, like he was toe walking. I remember he would suck on a peppermint and it would just go. Okay. And we would just wipe his face and close your mouth, Ellis. Close your mouth.
Yeah, swallow.
Swallow. Yes,
that
swallow.
Was
it was all about heard. Swallow. Swallow. It was like door. Swallow.
Yeah, swallow. Well, with Ellis,
the door. The kids were always running in and out to play. And they were constantly leaving the door open. We all have lots of children between us. And we would just yell, door. So somebody would shut the door.
Because
they knew.
It's either really hot, really cold, or lots of bugs.
But I remember you going, swallow. Ellis, swallow.
Chrissy's actually the one who started doing that because I thought.
I remember that too.
So he just drooled excessively. You know, babies start drooling when they're about 4 to 6 months old because they're starting to get those little buds of teeth. And, you know, they just want to chew on everything. That's why everything goes in their mouth. And his didn't stop.
It just didn't stop. Yeah.
And he walked around. God love him. He would walk around with his mouth open like that. And he didn't swallow his spit. Like it would accumulate in his mouth and it's like, oh, that is so gross. I know you're a child and you're a boy, so you're supposed to be gross. But nobody told me spit like this.
This is part of this equation.
Right?
Nobody told me this.
Yeah, apparently now we
know that kind of, okay,
that's actually can be a sign of autism.
It's just,
but that was on nobody. Rain Man didn't drool like that.
He didn't, and he really was the definition of autism. If you didn't have a Rain Man child, because not most autistic children, they love to be held and cuddled, and they laugh and play. But they definitely, exhibit the signs and symptoms. But if you didn't line up with Rain Man definition, then your child was not autistic,
or even more autistic than Rain Man.
Right.
Like he was like the happy version. Like what you hoped for if your kid was autistic.
Right. It's interesting how that created such a perception.
Right.
And that movie was so good and it was such a popular movie, but it really left an imprint on society of what autism should look like. And there wasn't even a spectrum.
Right.
Yeah. Which is why there's a spectrum now. Let's talk about his diagnosis.
Oh, Lord.
Like, you go through this process, you start to see all these symptoms, and you're like, what the heck? There's something not right. And a lot of things are not adding up. But at the same time, he is talking. He is very bright. He may not be, like, emotionally, he's a little more stoic. I guess, from what I remember, he was not...
Well, yes and no.
Yeah, what do you think?
He was stoic a lot of the times, but when he did feel, he emoted... There were just lot emotions everywhere.
Yeah. So kind of a hard time maintaining a balance in emotion.
Yeah. Really
a normal
not knowing,
autism thing,
Right. Not knowing how it was either up or down.
Yeah.
There was no...
I think even us neurotypical people struggle with that.
Exactly.
But it's not necessarily...
But when you don't have a good... With Ellis in particular... I'm just going to talk about Ellis because that's what I know the best. You know. For Ellis... Like, even now, last week we had to have a conversation about, okay, I understand, like he told me this like 2-line joke, and I was like, okay, I know that's funny to you, and that needs to be a joke for at home, because it was not a racial joke or anything like that.
Yeah.
Horribly inappropriate. That he would understand why he wouldn't. It was just something like that just came across. It
maybe
just
a
was
little
not
off
appropriate.
Color.
Yeah. Just kind of inappropriate. And he's 19 now, and he's working. And when you're in a work situation, there's a lot of stuff that you can and cannot say.
Right.
And a lot of things that could be taken the wrong way and can cost you your job, even if you didn't mean anything offensive by it. So trying to help him navigate that. Yeah. And he doesn't have a good grasp on what would offend other people because he's so not easily offended.
Which is actually a really good trait to have.
So that little thing that we use with our kids, like, okay, but if your friend said that to you, how would that make you feel? And they go, oh. And you're like, okay, so then don't say that to your friend. Yeah. That never worked with him because doesn't get offended.
He doesn't get offended.
So he's like, I would still say that because it
Oh
would
my
not hurt my
goodness.
feelings if
'Cause it
someone
wouldn't-
said that to me.
Right.
So I don't understand why it would hurt their feelings if I said it to them.
Oh my goodness.
So it's just one of those, we have to,
The little
it's
things-
just one of those things you're just going to have to trust me
Yeah.
that this is just something that you're not getting.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It's just something that,
Right.
it's like the color of the rainbow you can't see.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
It just is.
Right.
You have to just trust me that when I tell you,
Right.
don't say that at work.
Right.
Just don't say
And
it at work.
thankfully, y'all have raised him in such a way. You have a good relationship.
Yeah.
You're very articulate. He's a bright kid, and you've managed to work through whatever issues you might have or issues that he might have. And he's a responsible grown-up now. You know, I mean, like, he still lives at home, and it's still a process.
Yes, very much a
But-
process.
He's definitely, I mean, like, he drives and comes over here and
Yeah.
hangs out with the boys and they're best friends, and
Yeah.
you know, us best friends, our children are best friends, you know.
See-
Like, that's a pretty cool place to be.
It is a very cool place to be. And Chrissy and I had a conversation kind of related to this a few years ago. Ellis was not diagnosed as autistic until he was 16.
Oh, I didn't know it was that long.
16. We knew that he was ADHD. We wanted to try and, like, we figured that out when he was like 5 or 6. And I'm not talking about just like being hyper.
Right. It's not
also
the
a whole
H
lot of-
part.
Right.
It's the inability to focus, get sidetracked very easily. Yes.
Can't complete tasks,
Speak-
even
oh,
tasks he wants to
My
complete.
goodness, yes. Exhausted at the end of the day because your brain is just completely
Yeah.
has been working so hard that
Precisely.
it just shuts down.
And we wanted to try to control it through like diet and lifestyle changes
Yeah.
before medication. I'm not against medication.
Right.
I have, working in daycare centers, seen children who were medicated that were just being kids. I truly do not think we're ADD or ADHD. I just think that they had a lot of energy and a lot of life.
Yeah.
But that made things difficult for the caregivers,
Yeah.
and it's easier to give them a pill than
It's
to deal with them.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to be very careful. I think medicine is a great thing. Pharmacology is an absolute blessing from God when it's needed.
Yeah.
I think if there's something that you can control without medication, always try to go that route first. And if you can't control it without medication, then take the medicine. I
Yeah.
take medication every day.
Right.
Some of it twice a day.
Right.
Because I need it.
Yes.
My body is not able to function properly without it.
Right.
So I'm not against medication. Anyway, so we try, we cut the red dye, and we cut out sugar, and we cut out all these things. And he was healthier. It, however, did not help his ADHD
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
And so I asked the pediatrician, I was like, okay, you're the medical professional. Would it be detrimental to him for us to try to do this without medication for just a set period of time and then come back in and let's evaluate how we're doing and then you advise us on, what we need to do. Continue the way we're going or whatever. And he was like, I think that's a very wise choice. It's particularly because we homeschooled.
Yeah.
So he was not going to be
So you
disruptive
had-
to children in the classroom.
Right.
And it was not.
He had a little bit more control over his environment.
And you know what? If he's struggling that day with his attention, I had the freedom to be able to spend extra time with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it was very one-on-one. Because of our circumstances, he felt like that was a good idea. We tried it. It did not work. So we went back, and Dr. Butler prescribed Strattera, which was a very good medication for Ellis. By this time, he was around 10. We decided to go ahead and start him on the Strattera during the summer so that if any
Right.
dosing changes needed to be
Work
made
out the
or
kinks. Yeah.
get all of that adjusted before school started back. That worked well for him. Of course, it did not do anything to affect his autism tics and quirks and,
Yeah.
and things like that. But when you got a flat tire and your car's overheating and you put fuel in the radiator, it's much easier to deal with that flat tire. It's not one fixes the other. It's two completely separate problems.
In the radiator.
Or
I meant water.
when you put water in the
I
radiator.
put water in the radiator. He's such a turkey. You knew what I meant. Anyway, yeah, don't ever, please, for the love, put fuel in your radiator. I'm not advocating that. Okay, just like everyday Joe did not know a lot about autism.
Yeah.
A lot of medical professionals did
Right.
not know much about autism either.
Right.
And they had the same stereotypes stuck in their heads.
Right. Which is
That
very
we
normal.
did.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful that that has changed.
Yes.
Not for everybody, but
it's
large,
the
by
change
and
is-
large, it's changed.
Little by little, it's
changed.
coming.
And is changing. And I'm thankful for that because love our pediatrician, love his whole practice. Every doctor there is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
They just could not get past, okay, but he makes eye contact.
I
And he,
know, I know.
And it's like,
So he still had a lot of these same tics. He stopped
He-
toe
he
walking.
had-
You fixed. He
well,
stopped
we
toe
had
walking.
to. We had to.
Right. Because I remember he stopped doing that after a while.
Well, because our pediatrician was like, okay, look. if
Oh,
he
I remember.
continues-
I remember.
If he continues with the toe walking,
Yes.
it is actually going to cause that tendon in
And he's
his
gonna have to
ankle.
get cut, right?
He's going to have surgery on his ankles
Right.
because then he will not be able to walk any other way but on his toes because that
This is
tendon will
hard.
shorten and
Yeah.
tighten,
Yeah.
and the only way to fix it is surgery.
Right. So what did you do?
So every time he stood up to walk somewhere, remember walk on heel toe,
Heel toe.
and
Because
if-
I remember y'all fixed it.
It was
a long battle.
A lot, and it was very gradual.
Yeah.
And I don't think I got frustrated with him
Mm-hmm.
because that's just how he'd always walked.
Yeah.
You know, it's just going to
Yeah.
take time. He got frustrated with me because every time he would be running or hurrying somewhere, I would yell toes. And that was to let him know, you're toe walking. I need you to put the heel of your foot
Mm-hmm.
down first. And he knew, like we just had these little code words.
Yeah.
I didn't have to say the whole big long sentence every time. I said toes.
And he
was
knew
like,
stop walking on his toes. Yeah. I remember y'all finally got it fixed though. I mean, he finally started
Thank God.
heel toe walking. He started
But
walking
you know
normally.
what? I noticed about a month ago when he's really, really tired,
Yeah.
like really late in the day.
He kind of falls into the habit.
He
Yeah.
does, and he'll catch himself.
Yeah.
I haven't had to say toes in 10 years probably.
Yeah.
But it's so ingrained in his mind now that
Yeah.
he'll and start
So
heel toe.
the toe walking kind of calmed down. The drool. Did the drool calm down at some point?
He
We just
started
reminded him
remembering
to swallow. He just remembered to swallow. Okay.
He's
Because I remember that
still-
kind of went away gradually too.
The orthodontist, he had to have braces a few years ago, and she was like, he has an extraordinary amount of saliva. Always has.
If only you knew.
He always has.
Okay, friends, if you have enjoyed the collaborative interview with Kim Poston, be sure to click that like button. If you're interested in seeing more of Ellis FamLife, #AutisticTwins, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Click the bell to ring notifications for videos that I release on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. If you know of someone who needs to meet us or needs to hear our story or needs to build community because they're alone in the autism world, then share this video with them and get our message out there. Head on over to Facebook and like us on Ellis FamLife #AutisticTwins and on Instagram EllisFamLife_AutisticTwins. We also have a CBD page if you're interested in knowing more about our use of CBD with our twins Alex and Will. Then see us on Facebook at EllisFamLife #AutisticTwins CBD VIP. And I look forward to seeing you in all of those places. And thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this interview. Stay tuned for next week for the next part. And as always, I look forward to next time.